Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Tammy Cumming. I'm the Assistant Vice President and Associate Provost for Institutional Effectiveness at Brooklyn College of the City University of New York. I'm happy to be joined by my co-host, David Miller, and we will be talking today about ABET assessment and accreditation. Welcome.
Hi, I'm David Miller from the University of Florida, where I'm the director of the School of Human Development and Organizational Studies and Education, as well as a professor in research and evaluation methods. And today I'm excited to have as our guest Jessica Silwick, who is the Chief Operating Officer and Chief Financial Officer for ABET, the Accreditation Board for Engineering and Technology. So welcome, Jessica.
Thank you, David. I'm happy to be here.
It's so good to see you, Jessica. I thought I would start out by saying, number one, the work that ABET has been doing with respect to assessment has been phenomenal. You've really been serving as leaders throughout the country and the world with your work in assessment and accreditation standards. And I wondered if you'd talk to us a little bit about ABET including assessment as a pretty important variable within the standards to be accredited professionally with your organization.
Absolutely, happy to do so. Assessment of student learning with a focus on continuous improvement is key to ensuring the quality of our educational programs and preparing the graduates to enter a global workforce. In an era of accountability and transparency, outcome assessment has become a globally recognized standard of quality. ABET accredited programs have processes in place to determine the level of student outcome attainment. Evaluation of the data collected in these processes are used to facilitate evidence-based continuous program improvement. We also have processes in place so that no single templated processes work for all programs. However, foundational principles can be adapted and applied by any program to help ensure that its continuous improvement process produces meaningful results.
Thank you. That's good to hear that ABET has a set of standards out there that does provide these foundational kinds of principles. It's also good, though, to hear that that there's a lot of flexibility because different programs and different local contexts, of course, are going to require different kinds of assessments to really most effectively measure what they're doing. So one of the things that we have talked about in the past, Tammy and I, and we'd love to hear a little bit more about is that we know that as assessment has evolved, that ABET has been out there a leader in thinking about making sure that the assessments are really faculty driven. And so I was wondering if you talk a little bit about that faculty driven nature of the assessment process through ABET.
Yes, in theory, program assessment has always been faculty driven. However, after the introduction of outcomes-based assessment in ABET's accreditation's general criteria, it was seen more of a compliance process rather than a continuous improvement of student learning process. For many programs at this time, the perception led program assessment to be seen as an administrative function as opposed to a faculty-centered process. This perception has been evolving as ABET continues to educate and provide both practical and conceptual tools and models for faculty and programs to use to enhance student learning. The assessment process doesn't evolve, however, as a whole. It evolves one faculty member at a time. And we believe that we have been successful in engaging more faculty members over the years through the addition of new assessment offerings and expanding the delivery methods. This has produced a significant increase in the number of faculty members that we have been able to reach. We also offer free webinars, articles, and other resources on our public assessment webpage. This provides reliable on-demand assessment resources for busy faculty members who can't always attend our offerings in person. The best and most satisfying assessment processes are the ones that are efficient, effective, and faculty owned. We strive to emphasize this during all of our offerings and the importance for faculty to be involved in assessing the outcomes of their students to be able to ensure the highest quality of education and ultimately their students' ability to make a positive impact on society during their professional careers.
It's really good to hear, Jessica. I particularly liked the statement about one faculty member at a time. For those out there who are struggling at an institution where they're maybe in the nascent stages of establishing a strong assessment program, it's very difficult sometimes talking to faculty to get them to understand the usefulness of why we're engaging in this process to begin with. So I agree completely, one faculty member at a time. And David and I were just speaking last week about, this next generation assessment movement, about really trying to move assessment along in the direction where it truly is, and not just in theory, faculty driven. So I think that your resources that you have on the website are going to help us get there, because I think when faculty are well informed on good assessment practices, then we get their buy-in.
I think it's also especially important, of course, the amount of faculty effort that goes into this process, because as we've talked about under assessment, and as the professional standards say in assessment, the most important concept is always that of validity. And validity probably has no greater piece that's important to it in this kind of assessment than the actual content and skills expertise that come from the faculty, and their judgments and participation in that process of assessment is absolutely essential to good assessment. And so I'm very encouraged to always see the good work that ABET does in involving faculty with lots of content expertise in a assessment process, that while they may not initially be as familiar with the assessment process, that expertise in content is just a core piece of it. So I'm very enthused to see that, and we hope that the kind of work you're doing just continues on in that direction.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wish we had more time to continue talking about validity, but I do encourage everyone to go to the ABET website, take a look at the offerings, and until next time, thank you, everyone.